Walsh. Okay, ladies and gents, this is one weird story I gotta tell you today. This happened to me. This is a personal experience, a personal dating experience I had only just week ago. 2 weeks ago, my apologies. And you know, it was a blessing in disguise because actually at the end of this, I'm going to tell you the whole story, right? But at the end of this, I think there's something very, very useful for all of us, whether you're a man, a woman, you know, no matter who you are. There's something that maybe we should all be very, very self-aware of, including me, you know? God knows, you know, I've been an asshole to some women in my life. I will not deny that. Absolutely not. Maybe I meant it. Maybe I didn't mean it. Either way, bottom line, you take responsibility for your actions, and that's it. We can all be assholes every now and then. So anyway, here's the story that I have, and this is what I want to share with you guys, because this story either comes down to, and this is what I want you guys to figure out for yourselves, because I can't even figure out which one this girl is yet. Whether she's just an attention seeker, or she's delusional with her I'm the queen, and she believes in it so much that she won't go the extra mile for the guy. Anyway, see what you think in this one. So, about 4 months ago now, guys, I was in a bar with one of my buddies. Now, it was a Sunday night, quiet night. I was literally having a stroll around town, met him on the street. He was going for a couple of pints on his own. Then I said, well, hey, screw it, I'll come along. No, I wasn't drinking, I just said I'd come along for the chat. So anyway, we go into a bar. Half an hour in, I see this group of girls over in the corner. And one of them, very attractive girl. I'm like, oh man, you know, she's gorgeous. So anyway, that's okay. So anyway, I said, screw it. I'm going to go over and talk to her in front of her friends. Why not? Now, I went straight over and I said to the girl, I said, hey, listen girls, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I said, look, can I just say, and I'm even going to say it in front of your friends, I think you're absolutely gorgeous, and I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot, but I'd love to get your number. And she did. And, you know, there was 2 girls with her. The 2 girls were kind of smiling like, oh my God, look at this. So I can imagine it's a funny moment, right? So anyway, she gave me her number, and I said, cool, I'll, listen, we're about to leave here. I'll send you a text. Okay, bye. So anyway, we leave. A couple of days later, I start texting her. And everything's going great. I'm texting her on WhatsApp, hey, how you doing? And this and that. There's a bit of banter, which was great to see over the next couple of days. So now we're kind of talking about it at first date. We're having a bit of a joke about it. Then I came in, I said, right, so listen, are you free on this day? So she wasn't sure. And then I said, well, all right, well, look, anyway, we'll just keep the banter flowing. So anyway, I asked her then, now, sorry, before I keep going, the banter's still flying here between us, right? It's actually going like, geez, this girl's really cool. So, I asked her then, officially now, I said, well, hey, how about this night? You know, 8 o'clock, let's go for a couple of drinks or coffee or whatever. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, doesn't matter. And all of a sudden, the text starts slowing down from her. I'm like, oh, God. Here we go again. And when I say again, guys, I think a lot of you can relate to this one. This is happening a lot where all of a sudden there's great banter with somebody and then they just disappear when you ask them out. Anyway, back to the story. So I would say I think it was about 7 or 8 o'clock that night. She didn't text me back until the next day. Now, this girl was texting me back half an hour after I text her. So I'm thinking, all right, I wake up the next morning and I look at my messages, nothing. I'm like, all right, well, that's it. Just attention seeking. Let's let it go. So she texts me then at about maybe 12 o'clock that day. And she goes, well, look, actually, Peter, I've been thinking about this. I think you'd probably be better suited to one of my friends. And I was wondering, can I give you her number, or can I give her number, something like that. But she wanted to exchange a number. I can't remember which way it was now. Now, I'm just sitting there in total fucking shock. Total shock. I'm like, are you serious? Now, number one, I'm thinking, right, well, she's clearly not interested in me. And number two, well, it must be one of the girls that was sitting there. Now, then again, you'd have to wonder, why would it be one of those girls sitting there? Why in God's name would one of those girls want to go meet and date me for a first date when I actually asked her friend out? Now, unless she just wanted a one-night stand, okay, all right, fair enough, maybe it was, but I didn't even get to that stage, right? But I'm just trying to justify this. You know, I really am trying to justify the whole goddamn thing. So anyway, I'm reading this and I must have stared at my phone for 20 minutes just going, well, this is a first. Is this really happening? So you know what? I wasn't sure whether to text back. I said, screw it. I didn't text her back. I even deleted her number right there, right then. And I have to admit, I was quite pissed off. You know? Like, I went through the effort of going up. And ladies, if there's any ladies listening to this, please, you have to remember here, when a guy goes up to you and asks you out, sometimes it can be tough. Right now, I've done it before. You get the adrenaline rush, okay? Or, you know, you get that nerves in your belly, whatever way you call it. Maybe both. And, you know, he's going out on a limb here. Okay? Now, I'm not afraid of this, which is okay. But you still get that fire in the belly. Personally, I think it's a bit of an adrenaline rush for me, even though I do think, like, I'm still interested in the girl. Sorry, what am I trying to say here? So, you know, you have to remember here, I'm annoyed because I fucking made this effort, man, of asking this girl out. And, Jesus, and she's just passing me off. What am I, an apple? No, I'm sorry, I've got 2 apples today, I'm going to pass you off to this person. Jesus. So anyway, I let it go. I delete her number, no text back. Let's move up to 2 weeks ago. Now, by the way, guys, when I say 2 weeks ago, this happened, I think I said this already. This happened 4 months ago. 4 months ago. 2 weeks ago, I get a message. In other words, 4 months later. She texts me. Now, I see this random number come up on my phone, and she says, hey, this is X. I hope you're still not mad at me. So I see this pop up on my phone screen, and I'm thinking, huh? Who's this? Again, now, I don't know who it is because I don't recognize the number. I eventually go into the message. Now, the only reason I recognized who she was because she replied. Many of you may know this about WhatsApp. If you reply to the message, then you see the reply, the original message at the top of the message that you just text, if you get what I'm saying. So she's replying to that message she sent me. And then I went, oh my God, this is the girl from months ago. Now I'm saying to myself, yeah, it was months ago, right? So I even go into my WhatsApp messages because I remembered that the guy I was in the bar with, I text him afterwards. We were sharing some links and all this, and I said, oh, listen, I'll get that for you. I remembered this. So I even went into the messages and I went, oh my God, that's that night I met her. And I remembered it was 4 months ago. Now I'm thinking here, what do I do? What do I do? I have to admit, the big emotion I had was, I am insanely curious to see what this girl has to say. I actually, genuinely, guys, insanely curious where this was going to go. And I was also thinking of this podcast too, right? Because obviously, you know, I'm doing all the dating stuff too. And I went, you gotta text her back. You gotta text her back. So I text her back. I went, well, hey, how you doing? And I can't remember exactly because I've deleted it all. But I said, look, hey, so, wow, I didn't expect to hear from you. And, you know, and she's like, oh yeah, haha, so how are you doing? I'm like, I'm not too bad. I'm like, no, fuck this. Back to the point here. Let's get right down to the point here. So I asked her, I said, so listen, I gotta ask you. I said, why did you try and pass me off to one of your friends? Now you're texting me 4 months later. So I said, look, you have to forgive me for asking. And I was trying to be very polite about this. And I said, well, you seem interested, then you pass me off, and now you're interested again? And she kind of diverts and she goes, oh, you're never going to leave this one go, are you? Ha, ha, ha. And then I said, no, come on, seriously. Like, you got to admit, this is very, very weird. And I said, look, I have to, I'm sure you could admit it yourself. if this happened to you, you'd be saying the exact same thing. Like, what? Why is he texting me? What's going on here? So anyway, I don't let her off the hook. Now, at the stage, I'm saying to myself, well, look, do you know what? I'm not looking for anything serious right now. Maybe I'll go for a drink with her, but we'll see what happens here now. So anyway, she texts me and she goes, well, look, I just wasn't in the right headspace. I went, all right. And I went, okay. And then she continues on with another 2 or 3 messages after that saying, so how's your week apart from you riding me, ha ha ha, and all this. And I said, look, you keep constantly texting me and asking me a lot of questions. But I said, I've got to ask the question here. Are you actually interested now? Because you have me insanely confused. And she goes, I wouldn't mind a date. So I reply back. I said, well, if you want to if you want to go on a date, you have to ask me on the date. So guys, maybe you're thinking I'm desperate saying, oh, Peter, you'd actually go on a date with this girl? I said, look, end of the day, I'm not asking her on a goddamn date. But I said, if she asks me, I'll actually see how I feel. I was being very open about this to myself. So I texted her that and I said, look, you've got to ask me out on a date, especially with all your shenanigans the last time. And then she texts me back and she says, ha ha, laugh out loud. Ha. She puts in ha ha. And then, no, I'll be okay. Don't worry about it. It's grand. And then LOL at the end. And I didn't text her back. I went, you know what? Screw you, man. I'm not going to be pandering to you here. Like, what? And I was even talking about this in my couple of TikTok lives that I did recently, guys. And some people were saying, oh, you're very upset about it. You really got to you. And I went, well, yes, it pissed me off and got to me for about literally, and I'm not joking you lads, for about 5 minutes. Because then after that, I went, this is great content for what I'm doing. Like, and genuinely, I went, this is gold. This is gold. Now, look, the person that was saying to me on the live, oh, it's really got to you. So, it would piss anyone off. No one likes to be a number 2 or a number 3 on the list. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what you're feeling like here. And, I would say, guys, look, my whole point of this rant right here is that I don't know which she boils down to. She just wanted a bit of attention and she had zero intention of going on a date. Or she genuinely wanted to go on a date and she was in a relationship. Probably that was screaming in my ear all the time that she was in a relationship. She broke up with the guy and then she said, oh, actually, do you know what? Maybe I'll chance my arm texting this guy. I think she was definitely in a relationship. Anyway, you don't know this, could be wrong. But the point is, I was even thinking option number 2, she treats herself like a queen. And she's on her high horse. And she doesn't ask a guy out. Now look, ladies, I just want to say here, and I'm done with my rant. But really, I was actually quite excited to do this short podcast because I think there's a bit of, there's some value in this, and I hope you guys think there's some value. In other words, look, excuse me, I think there's a couple of lessons here in terms of when people reschedule dates or who makes the effort, okay? In fact, it was only around this time when she was texting me 4 months later time that there was someone on social media wondering about rescheduling dates. In other words, this guy and girl were going on a date, they agreed. On the day of the date, she cancels. And she doesn't try and reschedule one right there and then. She doesn't reschedule a couple of days later. She's then wondering why the guy never asked her out again. Okay? Now, this is where I'm connecting this with my stories and like the high horse thing. And the fact that she blew me off with her friend. Now she's expecting me to ask her out again. Now, let's look at it. Let's look at my scenario and this other guy's scenario here. For the other guy, the guy asked her out. The guy made the first move. Like, I even broke this down with this girl. I said, did the guy make the first move? Yes. Did he ask you out on a date? Yes. Right, so he's made 2 moves to meet you. And now you're wondering why he hasn't reschedule another date. And then you could see the wheels are starting to turn. I know this girl, by the way, guys, right? And I asked her then to email in all the information. Then I called it out to everybody here. So that was the nice thing. I could see her in the eyes, eye to eye. Could see her, the hamster starting to turn in the head. And she's kind of going, oh, did I screw this up? And I went, yes, you did. Yes, you did. What are you expecting from the guy? Seriously. The guy probably thinks that you cancelled because you're not interested and you made up some crap excuse. Now, I also said to her too, that I said, look, Jesus, you know something? People can cancel dates. All right? People can cancel dates. And I said, I've even done that in the past. Something's come up at work. I've had to reschedule, and I'd always say, look, okay, I don't know now. I've got to cancel today. I'll tell her as soon as possible. But if I do, can I reschedule right here, right now? Or will I tell her that I'm going to have to come back to her for a reschedule? The last time I had it done, maybe a year ago, I said, look, listen, I'm so sorry I can't meet up tonight. But listen, can I let you know tomorrow? Because I'll know tomorrow, and then done. Okay? So, okay, take them on their word, right? That's what you should do. But, you know, you gotta admit, whether it's a man or woman, excuse me, cancelling a date, it's going to cross your mind. They just blowing me off, man. Is this what's going on here? They actually don't want to meet up at all. Do you get where I'm coming from here? So, this guy gets blown off by your one, or cancelled the date. I guarantee you, ladies, this guy was thinking, she just doesn't want to meet, man. She's looking for an excuse. And then when she didn't reschedule, he went, there you go. Job done. Yeah, she was looking for any excuse to cancel. She doesn't want to meet. Good luck. Not interested. But yet, she's wondering in the corner, why isn't he texting me? Really? Get off your fucking high horse. Jesus. And then do you know what the worst thing is? The worst thing is, if the guy actually did text her back, she'd have zero respect for him. She'd probably resent him eventually because he's not standing up for himself. No respect for him. And it wouldn't last anyway. And then look at my scenario here. You know, she's blowing me off to her friend, but yet she wants to go on another date, a date with me. And, and she's trying, or this stupid half-fast hint, I'm interested. She wouldn't have had any respect for me. She would probably, this jerk off, what a loser. She'd be saying that in her head. You know? And she's on her high horse, if it was high horse. But, you know, in a way, these stories are the same because that poor guy didn't get a rescheduler for another date, or for a first date. But this girl over here, she's trying to hint to me for another date, even though she's passing me off. Same type of thing, but different scenario. You know, so look, anyway, guys, we're going to close it off now. Short enough podcast today. The point is this. Jesus, if to the ladies out there, if a guy asks you out face to face, like I did, he's making a serious effort. Now, let's say it's Tinder, and you match with him on Tinder or Bumble. If he starts the conversation going, that's okay. If he initiates, hey, would you like to go on a drink, Mary, during the week? He's making the effort. He's making the move. All right? He's making the effort. You know, have some admiration for the guy. He wants to meet you. He's asking you. He's also risking that you could not text him back. He's risking that. Now, I'm a believer in the man should ask a girl out on a date. I'm an old school guy that way, maybe. But still, have some have some respect for the other gender. And I know there's a-hole men out there. I know. And we should have respect for some females in certain scenarios. 100%. But we're talking about this. The guy's gone on a limb. And if you end up cancelling the date, which is fine, it can happen. Things come up at the last minute and the 11th hour. You need to be the one to reschedule the date. You need to be the one to ask him out. And I can tell you this, it's okay to do it. Now, I personally think if any girl goes, well, I'd be too embarrassed or too shy to ask him, bull crap. I just think that is, you're just not interested in the guy. Because if you really were interested in the guy, you'd be saying, well, look, I did cancel on him. He's probably thinking, I just bushed him off. So, you know what, I know. Like, you'd be justifying why you should text him, and you're goddamn right. And there'd be nothing wrong with that. Anyway, guys, I hope that was a useful podcast. And, look, the same for guys, too. If a guy cancels a date, he should be the one to reschedule with the girl. The girl should, on no circumstance, try and reschedule a date with a guy. If he's the one who cancelled. It works both ways. Anyway, ladies and gents, we're going to call it here for today. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back with more scary dating scenarios and, of course, more motor racing. Bye. Peter. Walsh.